after the game, somehow the headlines all were about a linebacker who didn't play for a defense that did really well, gave up 12 points. Not that the 49ers high-powered offense, high-priced offense, scored 6 freaking points at home. What did you think of the 49ers offensive performance on Thursday Night Football?
I thought it was irrelevant, skimpy, weak, embarrassing, uh, something that should make a team wonder about who, and I mean starting with ownership, wonder about who we are and what we're doing. And I want to point out, Iggy, they scored 6 points. Put aside the Bears game, which was an illusion. The two games before that, they scored 10 and 10,
Yeah.
10, 10 and 6. And this is supposed to be one of a offensive savant, Kyle Shanahan. 10, 10 and 6. This is the best he can do.
Philadelphia
I
scored 37 points against this team. Buffalo scored 42 points against this team. The Rams have the 25th ranked defense. They're terrible.
Yeah. So I would have to say, and I'm using this verb suck a lot today. I would have to say that this season, I'm not talking about his whole work with the Niners, but this season, Kyle Shanahan has sucked as a head coach, and we'll get into that more. And part of his suckiness is what he's done with that offense.
Yeah, and I
It's
think go ahead, sorry.
it sucks. His
I
offense
think
sucks.
what was so surprising about it is like, okay, so it's a rain game. The team that plays in a dome in LA was more prepared for the rain than the 49ers were. Like what McVay did, he had Matthew Stafford, who's got one of the strongest arms of all time, and he was calling check down after screen after screen after check down. Like there was nothing really dangerous. There were a couple on the first couple of drives, but after that, it was safe throw after safe throw after safe throw, where Kyle Shanahan was continuously taking shots down the field that Purdy couldn't hit, and they were underthrown or missed. And you could blame Purdy for missing these throws, but it's like, where is your rainy day offense? Bill
Right.
Walsh had one. Like, where are your extended handoffs? Your really short throws. That's
And
one thing.
Iggy, where are your running backs?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, McVay, it was roughly 50-50 passes to runs. It wasn't that way with Shanahan. He called, what did he call, 19 runs?
19 runs, 31
And
passes.
31 passes in a rain game. Now it's true he doesn't have some of his running backs, but he didn't have to use Debo Samuel. He has that other guy Taylor, who's a real running back. But of course he wouldn't use him. Maybe he used him for one play because he's incapable of changing things. He's incapable of adapting to situations.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big one. The Rams weren't better on third down. They weren't better in the red zone. All they did differently than the Niners was run the ball more. They
Yeah,
stuck with their running back who was averaging 3.6 yards per carry, while the Niners didn't. And the Niners, I mean, I understand Isaac Guerrero was definitely less than 100% healthy, but like you said, Patrick Taylor Jr. is on the team. He's got to be better than Debo Samuel, and you never give him a chance. And so you didn't run the
right.
ball enough in a rain game.
Right. He didn't run it enough in a rain game. He didn't know how to manage the game and manage the conditions. He didn't. And a lot of people make excuses for Kyle Shanahan. Well, he got us to the championship games and he got us to 2 Super Bowls. I'm talking about this season, who he is this season, what he did. He's a substandard coach this season. He hasn't done well at all. And he's been predictable in how he didn't do well.
Yeah. And, his biggest sin in this game, whatever his motivation was his game plan to start. It was a Debo game plan. The first pass of the game went to Debo. Debo's been having a rough stretch. He had 19 yards in this game. He had 20 something or 30 something last week, 20 something the week before that. This has been going on. So against the Bears, you only target him 3 times. Good. Debo objects publicly. And for whatever reason, Kyle Shanahan makes the offense go through him again, and they lose. And the offense is terrible. That can't happen. You
Right.
had found things that were working.
Yeah, we don't know what Shanahan's motivation was. I can't be in his head. You and I can't talk about it, but we can talk about what we saw. And what we saw was, for whatever reason, he rewarded um, Debo Samuel for complaining publicly, for going over his head and going public that he didn't get the ball enough. And he rewarded him for that.
Yeah.
Bill Walsh wouldn't have rewarded him. Bill Walsh would have said, You're not starting the game. You don't show me up. You don't run the team. I'm playing. Ricky Pearsall will be out there and Juwan Jennings, and we'll bring you in later on. That's how you handle it. You put him in his place.
You know who else would have done that?
McVay.
Mm-hmm.
McVay would have done that.
McVay would have done that. They don't have those kind of things happen on their team. He doesn't.
They don't. No, they don't.
Whereas the Niners, I mean, this was like the 10th time he's allowed something like this to happen.
Iggy, you told me that on one of the local radio stations, they had a debate on who's a better head coach, McVay or Shanahan. Really, who cares? Because there are many better head coaches than both of them.
Yes.
But I would have to say McVay outcoached them last night, and Shula, their defensive coordinator, outcoached them, and his own defensive coordinator, who's taken a lot of heat, Sorensen, outcoached Kyle. He only gave up 12 points. Yeah. His defensive secondary played beautifully. Beautifully. Yeah. The worst coach of the four was Kyle. And I'm not kidding, Iggy, by far.
6 points, 10 points, 10 points. In the 3 games, the 3 pivotal games of the season against teams that hadn't fired their coach, their offense did not show up at all.
Right. And I want to linger over what this game meant.
Yeah.
In boxing, you talk about a champion showing his character. I want to go to Muhammad Ali. He had 2 of the greatest victories in the history of boxing. He knocked out Liston in their first fight, made him quit, and he knocked out George Foreman when everybody thought in Zaire that Foreman would kill Ali. In order to win, sometimes you have to go into a very dark place where it's almost life and death, where you would almost give up your life to win. The Niners couldn't do it. Mm-mm. This game was their season. Everybody knew it. You can't sugarcoat it. If they win last night, they're alive. Mm-hmm. They lost, they're dead. They had, on offense, to show their character to the world. And what they showed is they have no character. They couldn't go into the dark place.
Nope.
Couldn't go into the dark place.
Greenlaw could.
The whole defense could, except for the guy who quit. We'll get into him later. Greenlaw went into the dark place.
Yeah.
Hufanga went into the dark place. It's the place where you face your fear of losing, your fear of not being good, your fear of the opponent, and you rise up and bust through it. And it's so exciting, and you can see it in boxing, and you could see it in football. And the offense couldn't go into the dark place. And I'll tell you 2 people who couldn't go into the dark place: the head coach and Debo Samuel.
Meanwhile, on the Rams, Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford and Kyron Williams all did.
Absolutely. They showed their character to the world, and the Niners showed their lack of character to the world.
Yeah, and that's why one team has won a Super Bowl and the other one didn't.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I want to finish, sweetie. I'm sorry. In Kyle's 2 Super Bowl losses with the Niners, he was confronted with the dark place.
Yeah,
and he crumbled when he entered it, or refused to enter it, and let himself be taken down late in both games.
Yeah. Because you got to face yourself in the dark place, too.
You do.